Are you struggling keeping your teams or projects organized? Or are you wondering if ClickUp can actually be the everything app for work? Well, I myself have been using ClickUp for quite a while now, and in today's video I do want to go over all of the upsides, downsides, different use cases, so that by the end of this video you can then make an educated guess on if ClickUp is actually the right choice for you. I do want to start off by saying that you can get yourself a free ClickUp account with the link down below, so make sure to take advantage of that if you want to. As you can see, ClickUp basically brands itself as the everything app for work, and although they've initially started out being a project management app, and they still are, don't get me wrong, you aren't going to be limited in project management in any way, and ClickUp in my opinion is the best project management tool out there. However, on top of the project management features, you're also going to have quite a lot of other additional stuff, which in my opinion is the real upside of ClickUp. So on top of projects, you can actually use their docs option, so a Notion alternative essentially, and you can use their whiteboards. And one thing which I really like is their chat function right here. So if you're still using Slack and if you're planning on migrating to ClickUp, you can basically cancel your Slack account, because with chat right here, it is basically free to use, and right here you're going to have a full-on Slack equivalent, which is basically going to work the same as Slack, and you can directly integrate this onto your ClickUp workflow, which in my opinion even makes this more powerful than Slack, if you're using ClickUp, of course. Now, when also going over all of the other stuff right here, with ClickUp you can create forms, you can create time estimates, priorities, dashboards, you can set up scheduling options, you can set up clips, so this would be a Loom alternative, you can automate certain parts inside your workflow, and so on. So this view kind of demonstrates that ClickUp really does have a lot of different features, and when looking at the product right here, as you can see, this would be also other stuff which are going to be included, which doesn't show up right here. And when, for example, looking at the automations, this is going to have a full-on automation builder inside ClickUp. Now, when looking at the pricing, as you can see, ClickUp does actually offer a completely free forever plan with unlimited tasks and unlimited free plan members. Once again, link down below for that. So you can definitely get started out with ClickUp for completely free. You aren't going to be limited in most of the features. However, obviously, if you're running a big company and if you really want to take project management serious, I don't get paid for saying this, but then you would have to obviously go for the unlimited or the business plan. In my case, for my own business, I'm using the unlimited plan, which does only cost $7 per month. And when comparing this to other project management tools like Monday, for example, this is actually way cheaper, even keeping in mind that ClickUp does have way more features than the other project management tools out there. Alright, so this is how the dashboard now is going to look like. As you can see, this is going to be a sample workspace, so I just have some example data inside right here. But essentially on the left, we do have all of the different Click apps, that's what they call them. So right here you can then also add the My Task app, and you can then actually open this up, and right here you are going to see an overview of all of the tasks which have been associated to you. You can actually view a calendar view. I use this on my own ClickUp. This is really nice because this is basically a two-way integration with Google Calendar, meaning that on both sides, if you are going to add an event, it is going to be automatically updated. ClickUp, this is also one upside. ClickUp does actually also heavily use Brain. This is basically their AI feature, and with this you can basically ask them questions. You can automatically create certain stuff inside ClickUp. You can, for example, search ClickUp for certain information and so on. This is also one feature which I really use a lot in my day-to-day ClickUp life, I would say, because this kind of makes the whole process easier and kind of really supercharges the workflow. Now, you're also going to have other stuff like Teams, Docs, Dashboards, Whiteboards, Forms, Clips. So let's, for example, add Clips right here. Once again, this would be basically a Loom alternative. So even when taking into consideration that Loom costs you $15 per month, if you're going to switch from Loom to Clips, you're already saving $15 essentially. Now, when looking at the overall dashboard, I personally think that this is super intuitive and beginner friendly. Of course, if you're just starting out, you will have to learn how ClickUp works, and I will leave you a link to a tutorial I did down below. But once you get the hang of it, which really shouldn't take too long, it is super easy and you can really build up whatever you want. Right here you can then basically add the settings, you can open up the task view, and once again, one thing which I really like is their chat function. Now, one thing which you will have to understand is that these Click apps right here on the App Center, on the left, as you can see, right here you can basically enable certain features on your dashboard. In my opinion, most of these Click apps are really advanced and you can't really go, basically they're pretty great. However, when it comes to, for example, the timesheets right here, obviously you can't compare this timesheets tracking to a company like Hubster, for example, which is a software solely focusing on time tracking, okay? This is something which you will have to understand. For the chat, however, for example, in my opinion, this chat basically works the same like Slack, and you don't have to pay for Slack if you're using ClickUp. And overall, most of these Click apps are going to be really advanced, really good. Just keep in mind that for some Click apps, there might be better options out there if you're solely going to focus on that certain kind of feature. However, in my opinion, the real strength of ClickUp, I've probably already said this 5 times, is that they do on the core have this really super powerful project management tool right here, where you can basically build up whatever you want, and on top of that you can then add these Click apps to kind of amplify the whole workflow. One other feature which ClickUp does really well is that when clicking on new space right here, ClickUp does basically offer templates for whatever you want. So for example, start a social media marketing agency. This is going to be a full-on template. We can then use this template, and within a few clicks and within a few seconds, this is then going to be fully added onto our workflow, and we can then basically customize this template depending on our own project. And as you can see, now we do have the template available right here. We can then basically open this up. We are going to have a form integrated right here. We are going to have the client board, case study stats, and basically we are going to have all this inside the list. We can then view the networking events, event types, event statuses, and so on. And I did want to add this just to give you a brief overview to see what is actually possible when using ClickUp. As you can see, this would be all one list, and with filters you can then, for example, create 2 or 3 different kind of board views depending on the actual information which you do want to display, and so on. So I don't want to bore you with the overall dashboard and with the different settings. If you do want to get started with ClickUp, you can watch my tutorial. But let's actually answer the question, is ClickUp worth it? Now, maybe I'm a bit biased, this is a disclaimer. I've been using ClickUp for quite a while now, but I've also tried to use other project management tools like Monday, for example, but in my opinion, nothing really comes close to ClickUp. When looking at the pricing, this is basically the most affordable one out there, and when taking all of the features into consideration, it is really kind of hard to see any reason why ClickUp isn't a good choice for you. I think the interface is pretty intuitive and beginner friendly once you've learned it, and in my opinion, ClickUp is the best tool out there. I don't want to guarantee you anything. Maybe for some people ClickUp isn't going to be a good choice, and that's also okay, but for me, from my own experience, it really helped me to keep track of everything, to have my work organized, to have my employees organized, and so on, and it really helped me to essentially grow my business. So make sure to try out ClickUp if you want to. Otherwise, I hope this video still gave you kind of an insight on how ClickUp works, what its upsides, downsides is, and I will see you in the next one.